have, there we go. So quick introductions. We mostly know each other except Jeannie Whitehouse, who is the new face on the block here. Jeannie Whitehouse is, how long, Jeannie? 20 years? 20?
Just about since I was
right?
4, I think. Yeah.
So Jeannie, well, maybe Jeannie, this is Bodhi Shakti just has been going through level 5. She's not an accountant. Jeannie is my friend who is the face and voice and trainer of the level 5 program now.
Oh God, I'm so impressed with the program. It's really amazing. Seriously.
Edie's amazing.
I'm as far away from being an accountant as possible. But yeah, I just get the design of it is so brilliant. Amazing.
So Jeannie, give yourself an introduction here.
So I'm an accountant, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, and my mission in life is to make boring stuff interesting and to make numbers relatable for normal people. So that's what I do. And I work with wineries in Napa Valley part of the time, and then I do have a speaking business. I go around the world now and speak. And I just acquired the rights to Edie's training, which I learned in 2004, and I've been using with wineries since about 2007. And so I'm very fortunate to follow along in all the cool stuff that Edie's done over the years and expand my horizons in amazing ways.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We were pretty much joined at the hip for a long time, and Jeannie is somebody who gets the material down to her core and teaches it in her own unique way, in her own unique spin, and is continuing to teach it today to accountants all over. So level 5 is alive and well and kicking, and ready for an update, which is part of this conversation here. One of the things to consider. Bodhi Shakti, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Oh, sure. I'm semi-retired entrepreneur and artist, and just really devoted to what Edie's up to and the JOJI project, and very interested in seeing what I can bring in terms of creativity. And I have some film background, and right now we're talking about how to capture Edie and her downloads and the possibility of JOJI into like a short documentary that we can use, and however we want to use different ways for investing or attracting investors or getting the word out or a transformational journey. So very excited to be in the club.
In the club. And then there's Miss Leslie. Go for it, girl.
Well, Edie and I got to meet through friends, but we're in the medicine space, and I have a master's in mental health and a certificate in psychedelic research and therapy. And so I think our bonding has been over sort of our credentials in this space, and I'm excited about where that's going to go. So we're talking about writing a book and holding women's retreats and further on than that. So I just really admire Edie's mind. I think the downloads are very sincere. I am excited to support whatever is coming forth from this amazing woman.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. You each have like we talked about, we had a call a few weeks ago when I had to cancel our board retreat, and everybody has a different piece of this elephant, we're all describing. So my lens with Leslie is about this neuroemergency that the world is in, that children are in, this painful place that we can't reconcile what's happening in the world with what we know is possible, right? Like the brain just can't wrap it. So it's shorting out quite a bit. And Jeannie, part of the movement of my life has been to bring more consciousness to business, even though I never even understood that's what dashboards are all about, is more intelligence in the organization, more feedback loops so that people get mirrored what works, what doesn't, and, you know, lift it accordingly. Jen Bailey, who you all know, you know Jeannie as well. She is involved with this from the start. She's helped me build the app. She's helped me pull JOJI together. She's now diving in deep to the level 5 material. I sent both Bodhi Shakti and Jen a link, and Jen came back before I went on vacation last week with this. She goes, "You're not allowed to do anything. I just have to tell you, this stuff is blowing my mind. This is so perfect. This is so, the business world needs consciousness." And, you know, and I talk in terms of consciouspreneurs, quantumpreneurs. When you think about what's going to be necessary for the shift of humanity, our economic engine is our first religion. Money is our first agreed upon construct. And it's actually more powerful than religion, which is interesting. Yuval Harari's book Sapiens, he does a beautiful write-up about this, and Jen's like, if we could move business leaders, like what if we could get to think tanks with CEOs and, you know, Leslie and the work that you've done with YPO, and, you know, like there's just such a
Can we get the level 5 thing? What is?
Yes, I'll send it to you if you like.
I would
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. No, I sent everybody out a note, and
I don't know what
somehow,
you're talking about.
yeah. So level 5 is this platform that we created. Jeannie helped me finish it, get it all up online with all the tools and hours of videos, and it's organized in a sequential way so that you go through each of the steps, but it's also organized in a way that it's people begin to really grasp what a mindset, skill set, tool set, orientation to a situation looks like. So it's we did the platform. When did we do it? 16, 17?
I think it was 18.
Was it 18? Yeah, that feels
think
about
it's
right. It took me a while to
18.
get my act together for that. So I think I finished the recordings in 17, and we finished putting it up in 18. And I think the first year, just to give Leslie a little bit of a reference here, we did almost $250,000 of passive revenue off of that program, where I didn't have to do anything. And the idea of what they call evergreen content is that it has this lifespan that you can repackage it, shift it. I don't think there's anything in the level 5 program other than the graphics and examples that I use, maybe a little bit dated, but otherwise it's still pretty straight up, isn't it, Jeannie? I mean, there isn't anything in there that doesn't make sense. It still makes perfect sense.
I mean, the format is, you know, kind of dated, but that's
Right.
it.
Right.
And some of the tools are, you know, they're on Excel instead of Google Sheets, and some things that need to be, but the stuff is golden.
Core material, the
Materials and the
philosophy.
concepts and the way you present it is golden. And the accountants are slow to adopt, but they're making it. And that's what I believe. I think we change the world through the businesses, because once we can get owners of companies to start seeing things differently, then everything else follows.
Well, and culturally, when you think about how many hours a week an employee spends in an organization, that is a huge point of leverage for creating cultural shift by addressing the culture of the organism that they work in, you know, whether it's manufacturing, service, retail, nonprofit. This methodology that I created, the level 5, with Jeannie's help, I won't claim it all myself. I had lots of inputs from lots of people, but that's my specialty, right? Is taking lots of different pieces, experts, ideas, and coalescing into a protocol, a process, a repeatable, leverageable process. So that platform is there. It's sitting there. Jeannie sells seats. She upsells to consulting packages on top of that. But I shared it with everybody, Jeannie, because I wanted them to see, one, what a learning management system looks like, how you can plug in lots of different inputs from lots of different experts. It isn't just the voice of Edie. It's and here's something from Simon Sinek, and here's something from this person, and so starting to create more credibility for the process, and the same is coming true with the Shameless Healing Bridge, and that's the piece that Leslie and I are sort of nurturing together, this nervous system reset, this preparation and follow-up to the use of psychedelics. And so although one is about feedback loops in business, really we're talking about the same stuff as feedback loops in life, what's working, what's not. So there's all of these different lenses. So Jen's very excited. Rachel, who you will also meet, Jeannie, just accepted a new job as executive director, as a director for a large nonprofit that's focused on green supply chains. So she says, oh my God, this stuff, like it's a nonprofit that's all about creating green supply chains, like helping people get out of fossil fuel product development into green resource development. And so she says, Edie, everything in here applies to what this job I'm about to take on. So it's just interesting to me that all these things are starting to coalesce a little bit. And Jen is involved with a group called Tangible, and Tangible is a consulting group that has worked with Intuit. Jeannie, I'm informing you about this now. They did all of the rapid innovation processes at Intuit for 20 years. They ran that, and now they have trained people within Intuit. So Jen's like, oh my God, what if we worked with Jeannie and Intuit and Tangible and took level 5 and repackaged it directly for business owners? Could still work with accountants, obviously, but so what's happening with the Intuit possibilities there?
I mean, I have training up there that's your stuff, that's all referenced back to you. So but it's mostly targeted at pro advisors.
Right.
So and I have these 2 guys that want to take your stuff and repackage it, that are working with Intuit to roll it out in their training program. And I haven't gotten an update. I reached out to them, but
okay,
they're going back to them already.
okay.
So the problem with the materials is also we have long videos, which people aren't listening to long videos in training platforms. So it needs to be chopped up and I think reorganized a little bit in some of the stuff, so that it's more easily consumable, and you can also sell it as modules instead of having to take the whole thing.
That's right. That's right.
They're components of it, but I mean, we're not talking specifically about this product and what we're doing, are we? We're talking about something similar, or
Well,
and they're also way better learning platforms that you can go to get it done in a much easier and more cost-effective way than what you had to do to get this.
I was at the early stage, the
but you got it done, which is
I got it done. And
miracle. And you had a whole lot of restrictions on what that platform could do that we're still dealing with.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot easier. There's a million different tools that'll do, a lot. But
so taking that idea that we could create evergreen content, package it up with video and tools, and Leslie, this could be something where you and I could have a very specific program that, see, the thing I learned, I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit here. The thing I learned about putting everything online is you can take the content that you teach over and over and over again and package it and be done with that. I never have to teach. I'll teach it the best I've ever taught it, and then I never have to teach that again, and I can focus on facilitation around that. And originally what I had thought of with the level 5 program, and now with the Healing Bridge, there's this universe, Armand's universe of 400 facilitators around the world. We could put together the Healing Bridge. It could have how to run a business for light workers. We could do all kinds, like Jeannie has done for the wine industry. We could do it for the healing industry.
I'm a part of the CIIS Alumni Association. That's over 1,000 people now too. So
And
Depending
CIIS,
on the
California
content.
Institute of Integrated Studies, and they offer the psychedelic certification to therapists, right? So yes, there's 1,000. So we've got these universes of people, we've got these universes of content, and so this JOJI Council is about bringing people together to first of all, build on all the content I already have. Like, I don't have to create anything new. We just have to package up what's there. And so we, Jeannie, just to let you know, we started a Marco Polo feed where as people get ideas or feed off of the ideas that have already come, they're recording them. Bodhi Shakti and Rachel, God bless you both, have been transcribing and capturing all the ideas. And so when we come together in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever that is, 3 weeks, the 17th, 18th, 19th, we're going to look at all those ideas and begin to really distill down to 1 or 2 or maybe 3 initiatives at the most that we can begin to test. Now, this idea of testing, if you've got the section, I think it's section 4 of the level 5 stuff, Bodhi Shakti, I talk a lot about testing and the power of testing in small incremental ways to get feedback about what's working, what's not. Well, that's the tangible way. That's what tangible does, is rapid experimentation. So we're going to come up with some rapid experiments over the next few months to begin to get more solid in what our offerings will be, and also figure out how to start making money off of this, because I want to be able to pay people for their participation, for their support. We're going to need a ton of web support and website and video, and it's just not I'm not good at any of those things. So I've got to figure out how to make some money fast. So there's going to be short-term things we're going to brainstorm around on the 17th, 18th. And then there's going to be sort of what are the long-term things, unless I feel like you and I, one of our projects is a little more long-term, but we could begin to test some of that content much sooner. Like the book might take us a year, but we could begin to do workshops immediately and workshop this new content with people. So
That would be helpful feedback for the book.
Exactly. I've been writing the book in my head for a long time now, and it's starting to come out on paper, sort of what it is. And there are 4 books actually that want to be written, and maybe that's the thing I need to get clear on is, you know, it's okay to have 4 little books instead of taking 5 years to write one big book. And so Jeannie,
And I don't get to know yet all of Jeannie's skills, but Bodhi, what you put together for a preliminary video was so amazing. I just haven't had a chance to respond yet to that, but
Thank you.
I was blown away by
Thank
how
you.
to put her words to nature sounds and stuff.
she
super
took one of
excited.
my very late night downloads I was having about this one woman show that Bodhi Shakti and I want to put together, and it's based on the idea of the Fool on the Hill. Does anybody remember that song, The Fool on the Hill? It's a Beatles tune, also done by Brazil 66, and if you listen to the words, it's one of those where you really do have to pay attention to the lyrics. The Fool on the Hill was Christ on the mount, speaking truth, and those who understood him intimately, and those who were of a different level of consciousness, he was the fool, right? And I've often said, I'm a fool for love. That's what JOJI is, total fool, don't mind looking like a fool. And the download that I sent to Bodhi Shakti on that, she took and set to beautiful video imagery of nature with music. kind of
Wow.
following what's happening. I don't know if you're watching TikTok or Reels. They're every self-help person, every consciousness person, they are just flooding the media right now with short clips. Like imagine
Yeah. What it
my
takes.
voice with an important message put out there, and then they can take the audio that resonates for them and turn it into something, right? And all that drives people back to a spot. What were you going to say, Bodhi Shakti?
Well, I was going to say, so there's so much possibility here and so much rich content. And then, so there's the possibility of the one woman show, and then the books you want to write, and then the Sally tour of Heal Out Loud and documenting that, and then the film, and then your whole trusted business advisor thing. So that's
Welcome
a lot.
to Edie's world.
Yeah.
That's Edie's world.
Yeah. And there's one of you.
Right.
So I'm looking for what is of all of those, the one that gives you energy and brings you the most joy? If we didn't have to worry about money or infrastructure, like it seems like that's what we should look at.
You know, that thank you for asking that question. It's what brings me the most joy is teaching, is taking these really big ideas and creating visuals and maps that make them so much more accessible to people. So the languaging of the new construct is, I think, where I am at my highest use. Writing is also probably one of my strengths. Being, again, it's all about the languaging. We're birthing a new lexicon, a healing lexicon that creates a deeper sensitivity. I wish Jen was on here, but she said many times, she goes, as long as I'm hanging out with Edie, all of a sudden my language is changing, and I'm bringing that language into my business relationships, into my personal relationships, and it's shifting the tone of the work that she's doing. You know, like in the business world, she's now bringing shamanic principles into her business world, but it doesn't sound like shamanism. It's a different lexicon. So yeah, so I want to do that. I also want to empower everybody. One of the things we learned when we were up in Oregon, I had this very busy fall doing JOJI experiments, and a dance, an important exploratory dance with another nonprofit who wanted to wrap themselves around JOJI. And basically, their initial approach was, you can shut down your nonprofit, you can just be a part of our nonprofit. And then the more I spent time with them, but you can't talk about psychedelics, and you can't your far left leanings, because we work with school districts, and you know, it's a conservative state. And I'm like, no, I know that no more editing. That's, you know, working with the accounting profession for almost 30 years. There were just things I could not say. I wanted to keep getting a paycheck from that constituency, and I can't do that anymore. So put me in front of a room, put me in front of a camera, put me in front of a computer, I'm at my best. Put me in a room with people who will allow me to work with them to heal out loud. That's golden. Those moments where Meredith, my daughter, shared with me that she's dated a guy. It was a one date kind of thing, but they decided to be friends. He's part of the decrim movement in California. So he's a PhD doc who's all about neuropharmacology, and he's like, we're going to have legal cannabis, legal mushrooms, legal MDMA, ketamine, all of these are within 3 years, we're going to just have a whole different landscape. And so she was explaining to him what her mom does, and that her whole family, minus one sibling, has been in ceremony together, and the work that I did with my ex-husband just recently, and so on. And he was like, oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing if people could witness families healing out loud? He said, what would that do for the decrim movement to be able to see how these tools are used, whatever resistance people have, that, you know, these are drugs, like, no, these are real family members coming. So you can just see how it's all weaving around right now. And so the JOJI Council is to have an ongoing conversation once a month. I've got a bunch of dates through July already on the calendar. These sessions are come, plug in, updates on projects, but I don't expect these to be work sessions. I think the work sessions will be, I will do work with Leslie, I will do work with Bodhi Shakti, I will do work with Jeannie, with Intuit, with Jen, with, you know, like, so that's the other thing, Bodhi Shakti, is setting some pace and priorities so that I can be available to empower. What we learned in Oregon was JOJI is an engine, it's a language, it's a mindset, a lens of love. And Bodhi Shakti, I think I even said to you, if I could get you all in a room for a few days and you're 99% of the way there, and help you trust your inner guidance system so fully and completely, you will have the lens of love. You will never again question who you are, what your worth is. You won't criticize yourself. You'll just it's like, once you get this thing in your head, you can, it's a whole different experience to be human. And Jeannie, you remember when you first, before you did medicine work, right? There's a before and afterness to this awareness, right? And Bodhi Shakti said, you can teach that. You can, and yes, yes, it can be taught.
I'm still working on it to fully believe it and grasp it and integrate it, but
we all
yeah.
are. We all are.
Later.
And you're never done with that. That's your expansion into your own consciousness. Once you understand what consciousness is, when you recognize your free will agency, all that to say, there's a lot of people who are stepping into psychedelics. There are a lot of people that are hurting very badly right now. And I believe from the start of this whole, when the downloads began, I was shown so many beautiful things. And I was from the very start told, you can only take it so far, and then you have to let it go. And other people will take it and run with it. And I am thrilled to see that happen. Jeannie knows it took me far too long to let go. I hung in there for 3 extra years, not knowing, not trusting. I let go of a big income.
That wasn't right. The time wasn't right. You knew.
And I wasn't ready, and then I was. And all that to say, it gave me the courage to now say, I'm ready. I'm so ready to let go of all of this. I have no attachment to where this goes, other than that it goes with integrity, that it is held with integrity, that it is not used as a mechanism to sell stupid shit to good people.
And I feel like your timing, Edie, is really for you to let that go as we look at what the prognostications about singularity are. I mean, every client I have has said this has been the hardest few years of their life, and I don't think it's going to get any easier.
It's not.
Every human is saying that, and the accountants are all going to medicine, which just blew my mind. I mean, these are, and they're speaking about heart-centered stuff. There are people publishing books on heart and account. I mean, it's ridiculous how fast they finally got it. And I mean, that's a huge sign. If the last people on earth that would think about doing anything related to heart are getting it.
So Jeannie, you're saying they're doing like psychotropic?
They're having meditation sessions at all of the conferences. I speak at accounting and tech conferences. Accountants are my people. just, and Edie really, without knowing what she was doing, was opening their heart. I mean, I went to sessions where she had a room full of men in white shirts crying for years. Before she knew she was a shaman, we knew she was a shaman. But it was a very small group of people. And now it's I mean, all the young women are talking about, they're doing meditation books around accounting and heart-centered businesses. I mean, the whole tenor of everything has changed.
Yeah.
And I think COVID really busted everybody wide open. We didn't have a choice. We had to find something beyond what we thought we knew.
That's right.
But I mean, I sat down with people at dinner a couple of months ago, and I was kind of afraid to talk about plant medicine. I started kind of saying, I can't remember what I said. And I had 3 people go, "Oh, we're doing mushrooms and we want to do that. And we're going to seminars." So it's
Jeannie, are you telling me if I sent a letter to my list of 300 or 400 haven't heard from me in 5 years and said Rumpelstiltskin has come awake again and here's what I know?
just say I'm in a different space, and who wants to come hear this stuff? And a bunch of them will say, "We've already been listening. We'll follow you," just like I did.
How interesting. I just see so many possibilities here. And I'm hoping with Jen and Lloyd is a graphic recorder, Jeannie. Lloyd came to Oregon and James
and draws pictures.
Do the whole part.
I love those. I want to be that.
It's so cool. And I'm hoping that Jen will, she and I will have a call on Wednesday morning. We always do. And she'll let me know whether he's coming or not. But the idea here would be to take all of these really big ideas and, they're tied to very specific pain points. And collectively, we almost have to step out of what we think this is going to be to open up to what it is. Like, I don't yet know what's going to happen next.
So can I ask you, Edie, what is your #1 thing that's coming through that you want to communicate based on what you've already done so far, what you see as what the human collective needs to hear? What is the mission maybe that's in your mind? I would like to know that.
Thank you. If I were to think about the language that really grabs people's attention, the words together, shameless healing, is super powerful. People are like, "What do you mean shameless?" Like we are so, even though we don't use language to really describe it, it's our shame core that is killing us right now. It's our resistance to change because we are so afraid of letting go of what is, even though it's miserable. Like we're really addicted to fear. We're addicted to a construct that keeps us held back, and shame is the core of that. In my JOJI work, I watched people when I would talk about, so look at the bottom of this map. The shame core this is the drain that drains all the negativity. If we could pull this drain up, we'd be able to get rid of the religious overtones about sin, about shame, about heaven, hell, and damnation, and hellfire. So I'm really animated around the Shameless Healing Bridge. And my role in that is the invitation and the activation piece. I recognize my strengths as somebody who brings people in, newbies in real gently, and then also as somebody who can sit with a Leslie and a Bodhi Shakti and a Jeannie who are already done 90% of their work and say, "You got 10% more and you can't do it alone. We got to do it together." Like both ends, but the middle stuff, that's where Leslie and the people that really have knowledge will be the greater assets here. So I've got the framework, but I don't have all the content.
So you're saying the last 10% is what your drive is?
it's what I believe what we're modeling together in this JOJI Council, this joy of joining in is recognizing that last 10% cannot be done. Do you know the 90-10 rule, Jeannie? Have I told you this? So when I was writing my book, my editor said, you know, it only took you 6 weeks to write it, 6 months to edit it. And I was complaining, and he said, you don't know the 90-10 rule? I said, no, I don't. He said, well, it took you only 10% of your effort to get 90% of the book done. That was the easy, fun part because that flowed. Now it's going to take you 90% more effort to do that last 10%, that cleanup on the edits, the formatting, the grind of the finish work of any project. To do it right, you have to finish strong. And I see so many people get into psychedelics, they get so far, it's like they reach a point where they recognize grace and forgiveness for their family, for their story, all of that, and then they just hover there. And they don't ever go to the next place of fully trusting that Bodhi Shakti, going all in on Bodhi Shakti, is the gift you get to give to the world, right? So that last 10%, we cannot do it alone. We have to do it together. So that's what
I think it's the same thing we're teaching in the level 5 stuff. You can measure stuff all day long, but this engaging workforce where the angst comes in. It's the same thing for me personally. I mean, I have all these conceptual, theoretical insights now, but what do I do with that? I bring that to life through action, and I think that's the last 10%. Is how do I integrate that? And how do I connect the dots so that it's a lifestyle, not a thing that I do for 2 weeks and get immersed in it and then come back and do what I was doing before.
Right. So all these people who've done medicine work, they're living double track lives.
You go. Yeah, I go to a 2-week ayahuasca retreat in Colombia, and 2 weeks I'm like in a totally different space. I come back and I'm on the plane. I start getting back into the old patterns. And how do we not only integrate it, but
that's the big question, and so the people who have made it 90% of the way, the last 10% is a collective movement. Leslie, you were asking me earlier about AI and my thoughts on it. AI is just a great big net. It's going out every day and it's picking up all the languaging, all the new content. It's just pulling in all of this data. What if we flooded AI, just absolutely flooded the field with JOJI content, with coordinating with other people who are like really begin to name #JOJI, #shameless healing. And now we're starting to train the AI into higher levels of consciousness. We get to decide what goes into AI. Does that make sense, Leslie? Like she said, I know you're going to have some upside to all this insanity.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. That is amazing because when you hear right now what AI is doing, it has no content coming from consciousness.
Right. Well, it does though. I went on to AI chat and I typed in consciousness and nervous system, and up came 600 words on how they're connected. And so somebody's writing about that. What if all we did was search? See, this is the AI is learning too, what we're searching on. It's going to start to go look for more content based on we can program that search engine, who, by the way, AI, for as scary as it sounds, is not going to be subject to Google and Facebook clickbait. It's not organized in a way that it has to be fed by an economic engine. So we're at a very nascent point in our understanding of what this technology is, but what's clear is it's learning from us. So let's teach it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the question is it a website? Is it an app? Is it a program? Is it a book? Is it a workshop? Is it it's
The
Bodhi
answer is
Shakti.
yes.
Yes, it's all of that. And
All of
Bodhi,
it.
Bodhi Shakti, would you describe, I found your text, you sent me an email a month ago and you said, I have this idea. It's like a workbook. Say more about that. Do you remember what you said?
Well, around Joji, I was picturing some more interactiveness with it, like a workbook where you're having people. I mean, Joji as it right now is a presentation of how Joji came about and the possibility of it and raising hope and measuring it. But as it evolves, it, I assume, is going to become a transformational program,
Right.
you know, coupled with your live channeling and healing abilities. I mean, for me, those two are not separate and right now, and shouldn't be, in my opinion, for right now. But you know, that it's the workbook, interacting with the workbook itself is a transformational journey.
Right.
You know, and your brilliance of being able to take concepts and turning them into words and programs that can create a transformation of fucking accountants, you know. When we apply this really just simply to consciousness, it could be really extraordinary. And I think it should have a little playfulness and humor in it, because you have such a little girl sweetness that's almost part of your credibility and everything, you know. So just one of many creative possibilities.
Imagine a book, a workbook with QR codes. So here's, all the wordgasms that are part of the lexicon. We have a whole Google Place, Jeannie, that I'll bring you into. Leslie, I don't think you've been into yet, but Jen made me start putting everything into a Google Drive about 2 years ago. She says, you have to start capturing. And so there's a lot of stuff up there that hasn't been well visited, but it's just there. It's just a holding space for right now. But imagine that you read a book and then you scan the QR code and it comes a 3-minute video or a healing out loud session where you can go for 45 minutes and watch a mother and daughter have a mother wound healing conversation, right? Like, this book could be multimedia. It could be interactive. And imagine, I have no limitations on my thinking. We had our own fucking TikTok channel where people were saying, hey, I had a Joji moment today. We breathed together. Like, ultimately, now I know Jen has put it to the side. Other people have put it to the side. And I've just smiled when she says it's not about the app, it's not about breathing together. And I'd be like, yes, it is. We have to breathe together. We have to do a communal nervous system softening with each other. It is the only way that it's the accelerant on all of the consciousness, is for us to choose one thing, to agree on one thing together. So in my lens, it's to get people to breathe together. If I get 11 million people breathing with me in this platform, in this feedback loop, in this data visualization bonanza that we're going to have here, we'll shift everything. We will shift everything. People are going to hear that. I was getting a massage at Two Bunch Palms and the phone went off. He heard the tone and he goes, what was that? And I said, tell me what your first impression. He goes, that's not a phone sound. What was that? And I said, well, someday you're going to be invited by somebody who loves you to breathe with them. And that's what's going to go off at the top of the hour. And he goes, who are you? What are you about? And so we had this cute conversation and he goes, I'm ready now. How do I do this now? Like, people at the end of every Joji experiment were, what's next? What do we do? How do we jump in? Where do we? So we have to have a place, a landing place. It doesn't do me any good to go out and keep speaking about Joji unless there's a place that gives people permission to come in, join a conversation, join a group, so a meeting place that's meaningful. And I don't know what that looks like. So there you have it, my loves. That's, the JOJI Council is going to be all high caliber humans that I love who are at that 10% mark in their own medicine, their own magic. Bodhisattva wants to do these groups with LGBTQ community and hetero community and overcome the loneliness and bring people together. Like, she's got another piece of the nervous system reboot. Like, we can't do 10 different things. What is the concentrated right next step is what I'm hoping we can manifest together.
And what you were saying before is one of the things that's golden for you is when you're actually in front of people and you're able to, channel and heal them, and, and that is,
Read them.
so, yeah. But it's such a need right now. It's such a need right now, such a desperate need for very conscious people who are in that 10%. And so, I mean, I know we'll play a lot more with this, but I was just picturing it. It's like, there's, like I said, there's JOJI and there's all the different things. And then there's you. There's you and how you channel and how you transform people in groups right in front of you, and harnessing that, because it gives you energy. It doesn't exhaust you, take
That's
away
right.
from you.
That's
And
right.
then you're directly touching and transforming people, and then they can go to level 5 and start breathing together. You know what I mean?
All right.
So I'm picturing a covered wagon. We have horses. It's a traveling medicine show or something, a little more modern than that, but, or giant things in your yurt or whatever. I know we'll play more, but I'm so happy to hear you say that, because I think that's one of the most compelling offers that you have, and that it gives you energy. So just saying.
It's also a revenue generator, right? And the more, and Jeannie, watch me. I love what you said about men in white shirts. Like, every session there was somebody. For 20 years, these beautiful humans came and sat with me, and I never knew what I was going to teach until 10 days before they came, but there was always a call for new content. And mostly that was my nervousness about being able to just go with the flow of things. I always felt like I had to keep giving them things to justify their fees. But what I really found, and what I think brought them back year over year, was when I would sit down with one particular person and just say, you're not happy doing what you're doing. Let's talk about that. And those moments, Jeannie, I know you can confirm that, were the most powerful moments in the Consulting Accountants Roundtable, which was our JOJI community at the time. And that's what
we would be in a round horseshoe setting, and you would just go around and put your hand on somebody and call whatever was going on with them at the time, and they would just break down right in the group. And it was amazing. You go around, and we hoped we didn't get touched.
oh my God, she's gonna come and talk to me.
I know. Oh God, I'm gonna cry next.
It's tough though, because
Spiritual harassment.
Say again, Leslie.
I said it's tough though, because you are not scalable. You're a person.
Well, that's what she did with the online. That's what the struggle she faced. She couldn't get out of it. She got tired of all that. And yeah, so she put it online, and then it carries, but it still needs a facilitator, which is what I'm doing.
Right.
But
People
what I'm
still
talking
need to
about
be
is,
coached around the content.
but what is the 10% effort that we can do that will create a 90% result? And if part of what the result we want to have is to attract investors or interest, or a foundation of branding, or having you go viral on the internet, to me, just my personal thing, is this extraordinary gift you have of the wisdom that comes out of you, and the transformation that happens right in front of you is really worthy. And we do that, and I'm documenting it, and we make a documentary of that. And again, there's a million ideas. This is just one, but
Documentary
it's like,
the thing.
what's the most compelling, most fascinating thing for really the public? And to me, it's your healing abilities, which are woven all through Trusted Business Advisors and JOJI and everything else that you do. but the live experience of it and, you know, is pretty awesome.
You know, a video podcast makes a lot of sense, and inviting people to come in and, you know, Leslie, we could do a whole interview with just the right people about neuroemergency, you know, what that whole piece is. Like, there has to be, so imagine this, that JOJI is a media company.
Do you and Jeannie understand, I mean, can I go on a tangent here just for 1 minute?
Go ahead.
So, as we get pushed into sympathetic dominance versus parasympathetic, right? Parasympathetic is like when you're really happy, easy, you have oxytocin running through your blood.
Rest and restore.
Rest and restore. So when you're in parasympathetic, when you're in sympathetic, you're releasing cortisol and adrenaline, and your body is literally shunting blood away from your prefrontal cortex to innervate your major organs and muscle groups for fight or flight.
Right.
So what people don't understand is that the more we're constantly getting pulled into this state, like you literally are leaving your higher level thinking all the time. And that's what Edie and I have been talking about. It's like, it's unavoidable.
Right.
If you're not aware of it.
3 years with panic. Yeah.
Huh?
Say again,
We've been in 3 years of panic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hypervigilance.
With the
So-
inability to function.
So there's a new term out now for what kids are feeling about environmental stress. I forget what it's called. Between that and all these other things that are going on, like kids today in particular are they're not in their prefrontal cortex. We're not going to get the best out of humanity at all. And so I think, Edie and I are already, we're all feeling it.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. And it's interesting, even, you know, a lot of people, I go to the integration circles who are, you know, they're on this consciousness journey. They're doing plant medicine. They have access to ancient wisdom in different dimensions. Anxiety, depression, everybody's fucked up because of the collective and the ancestry and all the other stuff we're carrying. And, you know, this whole, it's just everybody, it's so dense right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just,
you can't hear your true voice.
Wisdom.
When you're in,
So
yeah.
your nervous system, this I don't know for sure. This I just know in me. My nervous system is my access point to my consciousness. And when I am in rest and restore, I have an expansion to meet all of the information that wants to come to me. When I am in a hypervigilant state, I don't have the same access. And I believe that resetting our nervous systems, breathing together, that people would look around and go, oh, people really do care. It's the lack of witnessing other people doing the right thing that is hurting our children. There's a secondary trauma when things are happening and you can't do anything to stop them, like what this Tyree Nichols, it's just, people are just losing their shit right now, because what do you do about this? Nobody's doing, this is the child in us screaming, stop, to the adults, grow up, wake up, right? Like, imagine children now looking at their parents and breathing with them eye to eye, face to face, bringing it down a notch. We are on the tip of something, my loves, and I don't want to keep you more than an hour. Just to tonight was going to be just sort of to begin to grease the energy for when we come together on the 17th. Now, Jeannie, I know you're going to come down Friday, but you have to leave Saturday afternoon.
I'm probably just going to stay a day and a half if I can get there.
I'll take whatever I can get. And Leslie, are you good for the 17, 18? I know we had.
Yes, and I can host anybody who's overflow if you need.
Okay, thank you. And Bodhi Shakti, you and I were good. Bodhi Shakti's going to arrive early. And just Leslie, I'll make the correction here. It's Bodhi Shakti. She's very tolerant of all of us wanting to shortcut that. I called her
What do
Bodhi
you mean?
for the first 3 weeks I knew her, and then she was like, really, could you make it Bodhi
Too,
Shakti?
too many surfers and Siberian Huskies named Bodhi. I just can't roll with it.
You're so funny.
She is.
So,
All of
so
that. And you two, by the way, are stand-ups. You're both stand-ups. Jeannie is a stand-up comedian, as is Bodhi Shakti. So I can't wait to get you all in a room together.
Right.
fantastic.
I'll just be the laugher.
Me too.
Somebody must have laughed. That's right. I don't do stand up like anymore. I use it in speaking, but what's the timing for Friday? Edie?
Well,
What time will
here's my inquiry. I don't think Rachel's coming down, so it's really Jen, and I know Kate can't come. Kalyani may be able to come, but she has a class she's going to teach on Saturday. What if we started Friday morning? What if you got down here Thursday night and we went Friday, Saturday, and then those who want to stay on to Sunday will close up, but that would give us a little more space. Are you good on that Friday, guys? I know Bodhi Shakti.
But can we pull Rachel in at all?
Oh
Remotely?
yeah, we will definitely have Rachel involved by way of Zoom. She says she will commit as much time as she can, but they just moved into a new house this week with new love, new stepchild. I mean, she's got a lot going on, bless her heart, and this new job. But Jeannie, you will love Rachel. Rachel is she just rocks the shit out of everything. She's just amazing. Good human. And probably likely someday to be our executive director for Of One Breath. The day I can afford to hire her out from somebody else, I will do it for sure. So I will check in with everybody. I'll check in with Jen on Wednesday about coming together Thursday evening, starting Friday. So we've got all day Friday, most of the day Saturday, and then you guys can go do what you need to do.
Okay.
So
I have we can talk about my schedule. I have a speaking thing on my calendar for Friday morning at 8 for
Where do
30
you
minutes.
live, Jeannie?
What?
where do you
I
live?
live, I live in Napa.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I can maybe come there and do my speaking thing from your place.
Come down on Thursday night.
Okay.
And we'll set you up with a quiet space and you can do your thing. And okay, so we'll work out all the logistics, but let's shoot towards having all day Friday together as best we can.
Okay.
We'll journey Friday night, have a little heart opening conversation to be continued, access the higher parts that we can.
Okay.
And finish up on Saturday afternoon, and then people can leave or head, do whatever they need to or stay over, whatever works.
Okay, that's good. That's
So,
a lot better.
Let's just close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to feel into your own inspiration, what lights you up about this, and maybe just share that if you will, because that's so important to me that we are all stepping into that which lights us up about all this. And who's ever ready can go when they're ready. Jeannie, you ready?
I'm ready. I just think it's more, I'm doing a lot of keynote presentations now from stages, and I think this is the kind of stuff that I want to start talking about more.
Yeah.
I need to be able to bridge it to this community, but I think they're all open for it. And because I've been speaking so long, they're used to hearing me talk, and is there another way to reach them? I've been trying to reach them through Basset Hounds. That's my heart opener on stage. And so I think it just takes me into where I've really been kind of playing and not knowing it for a long time.
Right. Good. So you've got an entry point that pulls you into this. That's important. Leslie, for you, my love?
Well, I'm doing one-on-one work, and that is not super fulfilling at this point for me. And I see you and I collaborating and with this beautiful group of women that our ability to have outreach beyond what I'm doing right now is
Yeah.
really intriguing to me.
Good.
And
Leverage, my loves. We
I'm
cannot do this
excited.
one-on-one. We have to, I know that now. I'm not even taking any more privates for a while just because I know that I need to reserve my energy for the bigger stuff. That's, you know, if I fill up my schedule with privates, then I don't have any juice for the JOJI movement. So I'm excited too, Leslie. I love you to pieces, woman.
I'm so inspired by you.
Likewise. Bodhisattva, what lights you up?
Well, for me, it's really, you know, I'm so deep on this path, and it's so lonely and so fucking painful, and yet there's just no other way to go, you know, and it's the joy of joining in and being a part of what you're bringing into the world, and then the joy of being able to use some creativity to help usher it, you know, in through filming or whatever. So it's really a lifeline, Edie. Your work just feeds me, you know, and it makes me make sense of what my existence is right now.
Thank you for that
Mhm.
beautiful feedback. I feel the same about each of you and every person that I have invited into this conversation, that we all have a unique gift to bring. And I've felt this from the start, you know, that everybody's getting downloads, everybody's getting codes, everybody has some unique gift to bring to this healing conversation that we're in, this massive reboot on our cognitive orientation to life. And I can't reach my full expression unless I do it with others. That's just that we cannot do this alone. Imagine we now have a place, whatever that thing is, where people just like us who are doing the work, who are in devotion, who are transcending themselves, who want to show up, especially like our age, like this is kind of a elder role in society. And I want to get all the psychedelic hippies from the 60s on board with this. Like I've got Diana Slattery and Dennis Berry who and CIIS and you know, all of the people that have been involved in psychedelics for 50 years now. Like
They want to have a voice. They want it so bad.
so Dennis Berry, who is Timothy Leary's best friend and curator of his estate executor of his estate for 20 years. I mean, this woman is psychedelic royalty, and she's like, honey, you're it. This thing, this JOJI thing. So if we have a place for people to come, if we have a way to ignite elders to help the young people, that's our whole focus has to be on 7 generations. What we're doing now, I won't see the benefit of in my lifetime, but my children and my grandchildren may. And that's what motivates me. And that's what I think that's what JOJI is. That's the joy of joining in. So, you know, how do we get all those hippies activated and all the money that they're managing? Like, this is the greatest wealth transfer in human history is happening right now. How do we get them to allocate some of that transfer to this movement? Yeah. Here's one final thought. I had this bucket. This shit comes to me all the time. The world's wealth is concentrated in about 100 people around the world. They have 80% of the wealth around the world. What if you got those 100 people to agree to move in a new direction? What if we brought consciousness to those 15 people that would then bring the other 85? What is the right calculus of humans and conversation that all of a sudden an Elon Musk and a Jeff Bezos and all the other moon rocket dudes come together and go, we could shift the entire planet. We who have all this money, all this power, all of this, it's not going to happen at the political level. It's a grassroots attaching to those who see, oh, this is where the money train is going, then all the corporations follow. We could do that. It's not outside the possibility. I had my first downloads 10 years ago, practically, were all about getting world leaders a private coach for 6 months. Bring them into psychedelics. You get to work with a private coach for 6 months to get your ego shit done. And then you come into these mass conversations about systemic shift across the planet. So I'm dreaming big. Why not? All right, loves. I'm excited with you. I will get an email out by the end of the week as to what the exact plan is for the 17th, but plan to be here the day before. Leslie, you can come the morning of, whatever works. Bodhi to you, and I'll firm everything up. I can't wait to get you all in the same room. When you realize how much wisdom, how much talent, how much experience and heart is ready to be organized into something really meaningful, you'll be as inspired as I am every day. I love you guys. Thank you.
Love you too, honey.
Such a pleasure to meet you, Jenny.
Great to meet you.
Yes, yes.
And
Looking forward to being in
Bodhi,
person.
And I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys in person.
Yes, yes. Okay.
All right, you guys. Love
Adios.
you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.